Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of NASCAR Heat 3 Career Mode. Today is the penultimate race of the season, the final chance for us to make it into the round of 4. Myself looking on the outside looking in to the final 4, and so is Hailie Deegan coming into this Xfinity Series race in the playoffs as she tries to keep her championship hopes alive as we go into ISM Raceway, and they do at least stay alive for the moment as she would start on the pole in this race just like I did in my Xfinity race here a couple seasons back. We came up short in second place in a must-win situation, and realistically, Hailie Deegan doesn't have to win her way into the next round. It's really depending on him where the 21 of Daniel Hemrick finished in this race, and Hailie would really not look back in this race, and it was really good for us as we came through to about the midway point. She's putting a gap between herself and Justin Allgaier now, as she is actually really good in on the points because Daniel Hemrick started falling back, so Hailie was in on points, but obviously she just wants to win to at least guarantee herself in. By the time it came to the final lap, Justin Allgaier had hunted her down. Hailie was in on points at this point if she could get either a second or third place finish, so it didn't really matter. And as we came out of turn 2 down the back straightaway for the final time, you see Daniel Hemrick there barely inside the top 10, in very big trouble for him, but it won't matter as we come through turns 3 and 4. Hailie Deegan will come through in ISM Raceway and win her way in to the championship for just barely beating Justin Allgaier, and she will have a chance to contend for her first Xfinity Series championship in the next episode in Miami. And she competed for a Truck Series championship last season. After she made the Final Four there, she couldn't bring the championship home, and there you see she would have missed the playoffs still actually by 6 points, which was very odd because she would have definitely pointed her way in based off the points coming into the race. So I think something went wrong there, but it didn't really matter because she won her way in. And now as we set our sights on the Cup race into qualifying, we come into this race over 10 points out. I believe it's 12 points that we come into this race out, so we certainly have some work to do, and we would come through to set a very solid qualifying lap with a 26.796, and we would come through maybe thinking about starting a next lap, but I actually tagged the wall, so I decided to call it there as we went into turns 1 and 2, and we will start P3 in ISM Raceway with a chance to get to the Final 4.
The Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series returns to ISM Raceway today for the Can-Am 500. We've reached the penultimate event of this thrilling season, and there's no better place than ISM Raceway to take in all the exciting action. ISM's multi-million-dollar renovation is complete, and the upgrades are simply amazing. Fans are raving about the new amenities and fan zone experience. There's lots of excitement around the race as well, because after today, the Championship 4 will be set. Who will be headed to Homestead with a shot at the championship? Well, it's time to find out. NASCAR Racing is next.
Alright, we are ready to get going here in ISM Raceway. We start P3 just in front of the driver that we really have to beat, and that's Kevin Harvick. Joey Logano starts in the back of the failing optical scanning station multiple times. The only noteworthy thing coming into this event here in ISM Raceway is we are ready to green, trying to keep our playoff hopes alive as the green flag is out. Ryan Blaney leads us to the green flag, and Kyle Busch in the second position. He's in a must-win situation if he wants to keep his championship hopes alive after coming into this round in the top 4, but having 2 blown engines in 2 consecutive races as we get sideways early on, making contact with the leader of Blaney as we come out of turn 2, but make a solid save as we come down the back straightaway. Like I said, Kevin Harvick, really the driver that we really need to beat. We only need to beat our teammate Kyle Larson by 1 position to at least tie with him, but Kevin Harvick is 11 points ahead of us, so obviously we need to try and get very good stage finishes. I know we can get a good first stage finish, but the second stage is really going to be a struggle because we don't pit at the end of the first stage, so these tires will be a big issue as well at the end of this race as we get very sideways once again. But at the end of this race, our tires are going to be worn again, so our chances really of making this Final 4 are pretty slim, but hopefully we can at least try to fight our way into it. And as we came to lap 3 now, approaching the back of Ryan Blaney's, he's actually really kind of stabilized the gap between himself and I. He wasn't really pulling away too much, but I decided to run up the top line a little bit more. I learned that if you run up above the kind of groove, you can actually save the right front tire, so I figured, well, if we can save this right front tire maybe for the second stage, it could give us a better fighting chance. And by the time it came to lap 5, still about the same gap between myself and Ryan Blaney as we come through turns 3 and turns 4, trying to close in on him, but I'm not too worried about winning the stage. By the time we came to the midway point, he pulled away just a little bit, but Kevin Kevin Harvick, the guy that we are trying to hunt down for this final spot, actually started falling down a bunch of positions as he was fading towards the later back half of the top 10. So he was not in a good situation, and that's exactly what we need as we come to lap 11 of 18 in the stage, going way wide as we exit turn 4, actually tagging the wall, and that allows the 14 of Clint Boyer to come to my outside, and he's going to bring Kyle Busch with him as we go down into turns 1 and 2. Obviously, we want to get any points we can, especially when Kevin Harvick is struggling, so we're going to try and fight Boyer as we exit the second turn, but he has a lot of momentum down the straightaway as we make light contact as we head down into turns 3, trying to keep the fight up on the 14 as we cannot clear him out of turn 4, and we are much slower than the AI in turn 4, and Boyer would pass me, and so would Kyle Busch by the time it came to just 3 to go, approaching 2 to go in the stage. At this point, just trying to salvage whatever points we can get. Right now, we are sitting at 7 points in the stage. So if we can just stay here, we're going to at least close the gap to Harvick a good amount as he came into this race 11 above me. And we're obviously ahead of our teammate Kyle Larson. So we're going to overtake him in the points as well, as we actually have a car blown up on pit road. And the stage ends early. I'm not sure what it was for, but there you see, Blaney wins the stage. We get 4th, 7 points. Kevin Harvick finishes outside the top 10 in 13th. We are now 4 points behind Kevin Harvick going into the second stage, and it must have been Chase Elliott who brought out the caution because he decided to pit. I couldn't find anything in the replay, but I'm assuming it was him. Now as we get ready to start the second stage here in ISM Raceway, like I said, 4 points out now. We gained a ton of points on Kevin Harvick in the first stage. We have an opportunity, if we have another good stage, to get ourselves into this final 4 as the green flag is out. Stage 2 is underway, and this is a stage that I know I'm going to struggle at with the tire wear, so really I'm not very optimistic coming into this stage thinking that our playoff hopes are alive, because it's going to be tough. Now as we come through turns 1 and 2, behind the 14 of Clint Boyers, Ryan Blaney clears 14 on the exit of 2 to take that lead right away and clear and go down the straightaway and try to drive away with this lead, as I would fall in line behind the 11 of Hamlin as I would let off the throttle to let him clear me through turns 3 and turns 4. And I immediately noticed that the car doesn't feel as good already in the second stage, so it was pretty much just about survival for the second stage and the end of this race as we come through down into turns 1 and 2, sending it up the inside of Clint Boyer in the number 14 car as we try to battle him. He is currently in the Final Four, as he made the Final Four last season, but he came up short in Homestead as Truex did win that championship, his second championship, as Truex looks in great shape to make the Final Four once again, obviously this season, which will give him the opportunity to win his third championship. Now as we hit 14 to go in the second stage, Kyle Busch in second, Denny Hamlin third. Those two drivers both need to win this race to make it, but they're giving themselves a chance, so this playoff picture really could be shaken up here today now as we come out of turn 2 down the back straightaway, and by the time we came to lap 5, starting to lose ground to the cars ahead as the tires were really falling off, as Kyle Busch looks to take the lead from Blaney as Martin Truex Jr. closes up, and I decided to just let him have the inside and go by because I'm not going to hold him up because we are just losing our pace as Kyle Busch takes the lead away. Now Kyle Busch is in the Final Four as it stands, but obviously he has to make it another stage and a half really if he wants to make that happen, and we would fall back to P7 but about just 7 laps to go in stage 2. Our teammate Kyle Larson got past me, and so did Clint Boyer in the 14 car. Or Kurt Busch in the 41, sorry, as Clint Boyer is right behind me as we come down the back straightaway, just trying to hang on. By the time we came to lap 11, a Boyer all over me as Brad Keselowski in the background brings himself into the picture, and Kevin Harvick was working his way forward, and he would end up getting involved in this party as we came to just 2 laps to go in the stage, hanging on over these cars. I was certainly slowing everybody up, but Kevin Harvick is in this group of cars. You can see him in my mirror on the inside. He looks just about to the inside of Keselowski as we're trying to get every point we can get over Harvick to give ourselves a slim chance going into this final stage, at least as we come down the back straightaway into turns 3, approaching the white flag in the second stage this time by as Keselowski tries to hang on to the 8th position behind me as we come across the line. We've held on a lot better in the stage than I thought we would have, and it certainly gives me hope as we head down into turns 1 and 2 for the final time in stage 2 as Harvick looks to the inside of the 2 of Keselowski. He's trying to minimize the points lost to him, or to me, as we come down the back straightaway for the final time in the stage. He is side by side with the 2, and I know I'm slower than these guys, so I'm certainly going to try and hold up the 4 here if I'm going to hold up anyone at all as we come through turns 3 and 4. In front of the 4, the 2 is going to squeak squeak by him, and we're going to come through and get P7 in the second stage, and Keselowski would get 8th, and Harvick would get 9th, which means we are 2 points out going into this final stage here in ISM Raceway. And obviously everybody's pitting. Kyle Busch won the stage. We would come to pit road as well and actually make a slight wedge adjustment, very slight. And I believe we do have to beat Kevin Harvick by 2 spots at least to tie, and I believe we would actually lose the tiebreaker. I'm not 100% sure, but either way, we need to look at it as we need to beat the 4 car by 3 positions here as we get ready to start this final stage. As we get ready to go green, the green flag is out, and I know we're not going to be a factor to really win this race, but because of how long this final stage is, our tires are going to wear so much that we're not going to be able to keep pace. And if Kyle Busch or Denny Hamlin wins, then that completely wipes our chances of making the Final Four anyways, just like it did last season when Clint Boyer, I believe it was, won his way into the Final Four in this race and completely destroyed our chances as we battle side by side with our teammate Kyle Larson, who beat me in that last stage, closing up the points to me. Now is me and him really could be in this battle to try and get that last position in the playoffs. Now as we come down through the dogleg, heading down into turns 1 and 2, Larson clears me as we go into the corner. Now Harvick tries to get to my inside as he is all over my back bumper as Kyle Busch and Ryan Blaney start to drive away from the field, and we're certainly a Ryan Blaney fan right now, hoping that he gets ahead of the 18 so I can at least have a slim chance of making it to the next round as we send it up the inside of our teammate Larson. But on the exit of 4, he clears me as Harvick looks to my inside, and he's going to be very ambitious as we kind of block the move as we're doing everything we can to make this next round. And it's certainly looking like we're going to be around Harvick a lot in this final stage as we once again battle alongside our teammate Kyle Larson, trying to gain this spot over him, as right now as it stands we're 1 point out if we can clear the 42 of Larson, and we do get ahead and now sit 1 point behind Kevin Harvick as we need at least 2 more spots to get ourselves into the Final Four. But Harvick would come through to pass our teammate Larson, and if Harvick just stays behind me on my back bumper for the rest of the stage, there's absolutely nothing I can do about the points position, especially with Kyle Busch leading as we get sideways through turns 1 and 2, but hang on to the cars who come down the back straightaway, closing in on the cars ahead. We would catch Kurt Busch in the 41, Harvick's teammate, his final few races in this 41 car, as we head down into turns 1 and 2 with just over 25 or so laps to go, about 30 to go actually, as we battle alongside the 41 now, and we come out of turn 2 clearing Kurt Busch to move into the top 5 behind Denny Hamlin. And we would end up passing Denny Hamlin for 4th by the time we came to lap 57, approaching 20 laps to go in this race, hitting 21 at the line, and Harvick and Hamlin started closing in on me as my tires were starting to wear at this point, and certainly setting us in a bad position. Right now we are tied with Kevin Harvick for this final spot in the Final Four, but I know my tires are wearing, so I know my chances right now of making this Final Four are very, very small, especially Kyle Busch still leading this race as Hamlin and Harvick continue to close in on me as we head down into turns 3 and turns 4. Hamlin about a car length behind as we exit the corner. He looks to my inside now, and there's pretty much nothing I could do as I tried to keep the car down, but I couldn't, as he would come through on my inside to pass me as Harvick gets to my back bumper, but we get a little defensive, trying to hold on to the spot as we send it up the inside of Hamlin, trying to get ahead of him as we push him up the track a little bit, but we can't maintain the spot as we come down the straightaway 3 wide with Harvick and Hamlin, and I have to back out of it and let Harvick have the inside, and we would fall in behind them. And I knew right here we were certainly in trouble, but we would run down some lap traffic, and Kevin Harvick and Hamlin, Kurt Busch got past me, so we were down to P7, but these cars got stuck in traffic, and we closed in on Kevin Harvick, trying to keep our hopes alive as we come through out of turn 2, down the back straightaway on the back of the 4, as we look to his inside, trying to pass him, doing anything I can to get into this Final Four as we get ahead of Harvick and take the position back to move into 6, but unfortunately he gets past the 13 of Ty Dillon as we just try to use this lap traffic as picks to get ahead of Harvick as we head down into turns 1 and 2 with just 11 laps to go at this point in the race as Harvick gets held up by the 38 of David Reagan, certainly putting a gap between himself and I. It doesn't matter right now, we're still out of the playoffs, even being ahead of Kevin Harvick, so I was certainly losing hope at this time as we came to just 9 laps to go, approaching 8 to go, closing in on the back of Hamlin, but Harvick was closing in on me, and we're really just hoping it stays green at this point as we come down the back straightaway as we head down into turns 3 and 4, and we would end up getting a caution, what I exactly just said I didn't need, as Ryan Blaney did lead this race and Kyle Busch had fallen back to 3rd, giving at least us a slim chance to make something happen here on this final restart. Unfortunately, though, a restart is the #1 thing I don't need at this point in the race with these tires, but we're in it anyways, as the green flag is back out. We are underway with just 5 laps to go at ISM as we force it up the inside of the 41, doing whatever we can as he left the hole open, and I would fall in behind Hamlin on the inside just in front of Kevin Harvick as we force it 3 wide, trying to gain whatever spots we can to at least put 2 cars between myself and Harvick, but unfortunately we put no cars between myself and the 4 as we come down the back straightaway in absolute desperation mode right now, doing whatever I can. I'm going to hold up the 4 the best I can, trying to hope that someone gets between himself and I as we come through to cross the line. 4 laps to go, and I was just fighting for my life right now as we come down through to the lap 76. Kurt Busch would get past me on the outside as we come down the back straightaway, approaching 2 laps to go this time by, just doing whatever I can, sending it up the inside of him, trying to do something, but Harvick has got me right where he needs me as we come through, down through the dogleg to hit 2 to go as the 2 of Keselowski looks to my inside or outside as we head down into turns 1 and 2. And as we head into turns 1 and 2, doing what I can to stay ahead of the 2 to put him between myself and the 4 to keep our chances alive as we come out of turn 2, now side by side making contact, and we get sideways into the wall we go, hitting the 4 just about as we come down the track as we're going to send it up the inside in a desperation move to keep our hopes alive, but it's not going to happen as Harvick is able to keep clear of me as I could have wrecked him right there, but I couldn't do it now as we come through. The white flag is in the air, and I know at this moment our playoffs have pretty much come to an end as we come through turns 1 and 2. I just accepted at this moment defeat as we're just stuck on this top line with these worn tires going nowhere as our teammate Kyle Larson will come through to pass me on my inside as we head into turns 3 and 4 for the final time, getting hit in the left rear by the 42, actually getting me very sideways as we come out of the corner. A very disappointing end to our playoffs as we come through to finish 17th in ISM Raceways. We had a dramatic battle at the end of this race trying to hang on to the final 4 position. Well, we really weren't in the final 4 position, but we were very close, and Ryan Blaney won this race, his first win of the season, as he did miss the playoffs, but a very unfortunate end to our season as I gave it all I had, and Harvick would rebound there in P7 as it was very unfortunate, but we're about to see the 4 drivers competing for a championship, and there it is. Brad Keselowski, who would have actually missed by 1 point, put Kyle Larson possibly in. Martin Truex Jr., Clint DeBoyer, and Kevin Harvick are your 4 drivers that will compete for a championship here in Homestead, Miami in the next episode as we missed it by 12 points. An unfortunate end because we just made a mistake. We probably weren't going to beat the 4 in anyways based off of where he had me coming into the white flag without that contact with the 2, but I gave it all I had and I put myself in the wall doing it and I sent it up the inside of the 4. I could have maybe shoved him out of the way, but Harvick has raced me clean in this career mode the whole time, so I wasn't going to just make a dirty move to maybe beat him. The best I could do was wreck him, and that still probably wouldn't have worked out for myself. Maybe if we would have had a little bit more luck in Texas, we could be in a different situation battling for a championship. But if you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Those would all be very appreciated. Next episode, we go to Homestead to see if Hailie Deegan can win the championship. And these 4 drivers battle it out for the Cup championship. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching, everybody, and have yourselves a great day.